welcome back to the Pregnancy and Postnatal Entrepreneurs Collective podcast. I am Niamh Cassidy, and today I am joined by Vicky Shilling, and she is a self-belief business coach helping solopreneurs change their beliefs so they can make more sales and more impact. She loves honest chat about self-doubt, the true feelings and emotions of running your business, and sharing tips and tools to help solo business owners become true experimenters when it comes to taking bold steps to do the work that they love. I was introduced to Vicky through a WhatsApp group for women in business, and in the group I asked one day, did anyone have any recommendations for a book? And Vicky said, is it okay if I recommend my own? And I said, absolutely. I was very excited, and her book is called Just Start Now, and I listened to it all the way through in less than 2 days, and there was just so many wonderful insights, so many things that I related to with how I work with my clients as well, that I invited Vicky to come on to the podcast. So Vicky, thank you very much for joining me today. So let's get started. So tell me, maybe we'll just start off a little bit about how you got into this work and bringing yourself to write a book and a bit of your journey.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so glad that you allowed me the permission to promote my own book in that chat. But actually, that we found that there was so much in common about the way that we both work and support people. So yeah, I haven't always done this work. I worked for 10 years in the classical music industry based in London, and really came to the work that I've eventually done now because my own body was telling me it was not very happy. I was really struggling with IBS symptoms, bloating, needing to run for toilets, which is not very handy when you're traveling and touring, just really uncomfortable in my own body. Turned 30 and just thought, I've had enough of this. I needed to really address what is going on here. Tried to start making some diet and lifestyle changes, and kind of entered a whole world because I'd been in my little music bubble I'd never discovered before. These people who were health coaches and nutritionists, were often retraining, yoga teachers, breath workers, all of these people really like supporting other people like me that wanted to make kind of diet and lifestyle changes to feel better. I started my own blog, all about my own health journey, and really learned a lot of my own digital marketing skills, setting up a website, a mailing list, promoting services and offers, using social media, all through self-taught, learning how to do that for my own blog, and realizing that the people that I interacted with and the questions I got asked most, even though I was making lovely recipes and working on my food photography, the things I was being asked most were, how did you set your website up? How did you start charging for what you do? How did you get customers and clients and grow your social media audience? And actually that was the stuff I really loved helping people with. So I kind of pivoted into that. I trained as a coach. And of the last few years, I've done a kind of blend of coaching and mentoring, really helping people with a lot of those elements that I know you help your clients with as well. A lot of that practical aspects, ideal client, creating signature offers, pricing themselves and promoting themselves. But really realized I was starting to hit a block with quite a lot of those people, that even though you gave them the most clear plan, you gave them a really good in-depth training, you gave them a workbook, you gave them loads of prompts for social media, you got really clear on what the great signature offer was, something wasn't clicking, something still wasn't happening. They were getting in their own way. I don't really like now the term self-sabotage, but there was something. Every week they'd come back, it still wasn't happening, it still wasn't working. Even if they did all the things, for some reason things weren't quite clicking. And really realizing that a lot of that, like I know you work on with your clients, was about how they were thinking and what their belief system was about themselves, about their clients, about the market that they were going into, their beliefs about money that I know we're going to talk about, that actually it doesn't matter how many practical things you do and how many, blueprints and 5-step plans that you follow. If you don't believe in yourself and your work and your ability to create change for people, none of it's actually going to work and turn into a business. It's just going to be a very expensive hobby. So that's the bit I've really specialized in. And actually the book came into that to address exactly that. I didn't want to write a book that was digital marketing, that was, going to go out of date very quickly, because things are changing, my God, really rapidly right now. But for the book to really address the blocks and the mindsets that I can see people were having, and also maybe to even preempt some of the stumbling blocks that I could see at each point in the process as you niche down, create an offer, build a website, start marketing yourself. What is going to come up? What is that internal dialogue? And how do we retrain it if what is currently in there is not very helpful? So that's.
Yeah, and exactly everything that you summed up. It's what I found in working with clients as well, is that there's the how to. So there's your step-by-step processes. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. But without working on the mindset behind it, without working on our self-belief, that we can have as many strategy sessions as we want, but it's really hard to move forward without uncovering some of that mindset stuff as well. So it's definitely a combination that has to go together, but possibly the mindset stuff needing to happen first a lot of the time. Now, a lot of people think that they want the how do I do this? How do I do that? And a lot of people come into my world because that's what they're looking for. But that's why I always describe myself as a business and a mindset coach. I'll give you the strategy stuff, but we're going to have to work on the mindset if we're going to get there.
100%. And I liked when I've listened to episodes of your podcast talking about the mindset that you front load that, that's where we need to set you up for success, because like I've said, and you've seen as well, you can do all the practical things. You can keep taking all of those steps, but actually you're undermining yourself and not allowing those practical skills and all that effort to have a maximum impact if you are constantly the internal dialogue is no one wants this, no one's willing to pay for it, I'm not good enough, any of those kind of beliefs and many, many more, as I cover in the book, are going to kind of undermine all of that action and leave you feeling very stuck and frustrated, which is the point that I can see with people, and that makes me really, really sad, because people are then not able to, they're incredibly qualified. The people you work with, same with me, largely my clients are nutritionists and health coaches, some people in the birth world as well, like they're incredibly qualified and yet feel frustrated that they can't help people because of what is actually going on inside their head.
And one of the big reasons for me in starting this podcast and in starting the work that I do is that so many of those qualified, wonderful people who could help so many parents and so many families in the world were actually stopping doing the work that they loved and the work that they were good at because they couldn't overcome those blocks. So when we were preparing for this podcast, I'd gone through the book, and one of the big themes was coming up was those limiting beliefs and how do we overcome them. And there are two in particular that I'd really like to focus on today for this particular audience, because I hear them over and over and over again. The first one is time, and the second one is money. So in another episode I recorded just last week with another guest, we were both talking ourselves about how time was a big limiting belief for us. We were talking about our fitness journeys and how we never had the time to work out or look after ourselves or do anything because we just didn't have the time. I run two businesses. She has a business with lots of streams, lots of things going on, and we just didn't have the time. Simple as no time. So where do you see that kind of time block coming up for people?
Yeah, I think the first thing I want to say is I try not to use limiting beliefs. I've tried with my self-belief coaching to reframe that as protective beliefs, which I think helps us identify why we keep telling ourselves that we don't have the time. Because if we see the belief of I don't have time as a protective belief, we then can get curious about, what is this protecting me from? So, for example, like you say, with a fitness journey or actually committing to some kind of exercise, why am I not committing to the exercise? What am I afraid will happen if I committed to some regular exercise in my day, in my week, in my month, in my year? And actually, when we can journal on that or talk it out with a coach or get curious and understand, do visualizations, whatever tools are necessary with that to really get up close and understand that protective belief. So the work that I do, we actually meet that protective part of yourself. We go and understand we are in dialogue with that protective part of ourselves and say, what is it you are afraid of? What do you think is going to happen if I commit to that regular workout routine? And it's really interesting. Sometimes it's not logical when we look at it. It might be you're worried that it's taking your away time from your family and your kids, and you don't want to miss out on that. You already feel like you're not spending enough time with them. So that's just another thing, and you don't want to lose time. Maybe it's you've tried before and you didn't get the results that you wanted, maybe whether that's aesthetically or, mentally, that you just, or, that actually there's failure there. So you don't want to go through the failure again. So don't commit to it. It might be embarrassment. Maybe you don't feel comfortable in your own body. The idea of going to a class or going into a gym would feel like there would be embarrassment there. So again, like, why on earth would you commit to that? Because there's going to be potentially there's embarrassment on the other side of that. So when we can get really honest about what we're afraid of will happen if we commit to this thing. If we spend that time doing that thing, we can then start to look at, okay, well, I believe if I commit to this, this is going to happen. I'm going to lose time with my family. I'm going to be embarrassed. That's not a very helpful belief. Then it's a case of looking at what would be more helpful to believe here instead. I still personally think, and again, with the training that I've had, we need to pick something to focus in on that you do currently believe. I'm not into, I'm going to go into the gym and everyone's going to think I look fantastic kind of flip. Like that isn't how you feel, that you don't believe that. But is there a belief, a kind of midway or a neutral point or something that's different to channel and keep focusing on and build evidence for instead, that would be more helpful than subconsciously or consciously the rhetoric being, I'm afraid if I do this, this terrible thing is going to happen. I'm going to lose time with my family. Is it when I work out, I enjoy my family more or something? You know what? I believe that. And therefore I'm going to channel that. I'm going to keep thinking about that. I'm going to keep coming back to that. I'm going to build evidence around that, whether that happens, and see hopefully the benefits then of what action you take and how you feel when you do that instead.
And so often people are feeling that they can't either put more time into their business or into marketing or into learning about those options. Often for that reason, that the time they're already spending so much time doing things that take them away from their family or from what they might feel are their household duties or whatever it might be, that they just feel initially like the block that comes forward is, I don't have the time, or I don't know whether I'm going to have the time to work with this. But if we dig a little deeper, often we'll find what you're saying, which is there's something else going on. And the big one that I see all the time is that they're actually afraid of putting in the time and not getting the result.
100%. Failure, rejection, that I put out all that marketing and no one buys my product, no one buys my service, no one signs up for my course. So of course you're not going to put yourself through that, because that's a big fear. That protective part of your self is saying, don't go there. Like, we've done that before and it felt absolutely horrendous. So like, why would we keep doing it? Instead, we'll busy ourselves with the household chores or doing a few tweaks on the website or building a new program, because it was probably the program that was the problem. So I'll keep doing that instead. And we have to get really honest and uncomfortable sometimes with, no, I'm just really scared that it's going to fail or that I'm going to be rejected. And that's not helpful to have on repeat. So how do I want to feel about doing this marketing, and what belief needs to be underlining my approach to doing the marketing? And again, there's no point saying I'm going to market myself and I'm going to sell out next week. That you don't believe that. I don't believe that, if that's currently where you're at, mindset wise. But can you come up with something else? Is it successful business owners market themselves regularly, and just holding that, centering into that, looking for evidence for that, becoming and fulfilling that identity of what that is, and then just seeing what shifts come when you keep centering and focusing on that as a belief, rather than, if I market myself, it's going to fail or I'm going to experience rejection again. And I know that can become, it's quite hard with promoting yourself and marketing yourself, because there is always a rejection, a possibility that it doesn't work. But so again, is a mindset of everything's an experiment. I'm learning all the time to communicate. I'm getting better all the time at honing my message. People are finding me even if they don't engage with my content immediately. Just those kind of beliefs are way more likely to help you show up consistently and keep doing what you're doing, which is ultimately where I see successful business owners. They're literally just the ones that have that resilience to keep going and have the better belief system.
Absolutely. And one of the things that comes up for me a lot and with clients around that is even just something as simple as saying, if I don't tell people what I do, I can't help them. Yeah. When the motivation is there to help people as part of their pregnancy journey or the birth journey or the postpartum journey. And I know that all the birth workers that I work with truly believe that the service they provide helps people. But if I don't tell people about what I do, I can't help them. So I'm withholding that help and support from them. And I think that can be a nice way to frame it too.
Yeah, I love that. And again, it's finding what works for you. I know some people are really externally motivated like that, thinking about that ripple effect of what you're doing, changing the beliefs like we've been talked about around selling as a bad thing or an icky thing or a pushy thing or something that we don't like or identify with, into it's of being of service. It's helping others, the ripple effect. If I help that one woman or that one birthing person, and then what, the knock-on effect of that and how that's going to impact her well-being and her family, and knowing that that's part of a bigger movement and it's growing, that's really motivating for some people. And equally, some people are quite kind of internally motivated. It's that sense of pride and success in yourself, in signing that client, honing that message, filling that program, whatever it is. And that will only come if you keep trying and you have the belief system to keep that resilience going.
And it's okay to have that internal motivation as well, because lots of people, they feel comfortable with the idea that I'm helping people and I'm doing this because I'm helping other people, but they can feel a little bit less comfortable with I'm doing this for myself, to feel good about myself, to earn money for myself. That can feel a little bit more difficult, whether, I think in particular for women to feel that way.
Yeah. And like permission slip for anybody, because I'm going to sit here and say, I am not massively motivated by other people in my business. I love to see and know that I have helped people, but I literally show up on a daily basis because it makes me feel good. I love seeing through those actions. I love learning and knowing I'm honing it all the time. I am quite internally motivated. I do remember I did a leadership course when I was actually still in the arts. There were a lot of other people that worked in the arts. We all had to go and stand in the box of the thing that motivated us most. And of course, in the arts, there were lots of kind of creative people there. A lot of them stood in the altruism box. It really helps other people. It's great. I went and stood in the power and influence box. I was like, that is what motivates me. I want to see the impact. Yeah, okay, I like that it helps other people, but that's actually not what gets me out of bed in the morning. And that's okay. Like, of course, my business has to help people. That literally is what a business is. We provide a service, a product, something that solves a problem or creates an outcome for someone. I understand that as a fundamental for the business, but I know what motivates me, and I can build my business in that way that kind of builds on that sense of what motivates me. So whatever works for you, like full on permission slip to just find what makes you get up in the morning and keep doing what you're doing.
And I think if most people were a little bit more honest with themselves or dug a little bit deeper, we'd probably find that there is a lot of, I'm doing this because it makes me feel good, because I enjoy the work, because I enjoy, the influence it gives me or the status it gives me in my life. And that those things are okay, but I can hear people listen to this kind of go, and they're finding it hard, probably because there's something in them thinking that, but women saying this out loud is hard work.
Yeah. And again, full of compassion and kindness for that, because the society that we are in, particularly in Ireland, but I've UK clients and worldwide clients, to be honest, where the sense is we should be giving to other people. We should do that freely. We should, not want things for ourselves, the kind of like religious connotations around that as well, that we should be just doing things for other people all the time and being of service and not expecting anything back. You're right. Like that's actually almost in our DNA. That's how we've been culturally brought up and continue to be conditioned, particularly those of us I've been grown up as women as well, that we shouldn't want that. And that brings us back to money as well. It's okay to just want money for the sake of wanting what it will give you. It's great if part of your reason is if I earn X amount of money, I will give to charity, I can volunteer my time. And I feel like some people say those things because they think that's the right thing to say about earning money. It's okay for you to just want money. And again, it's very easy for us to sit here and say that, and for maybe someone listening going, yeah, absolutely. But to really feel it and know it, we have to change the beliefs here. Like, what do you think happens if you earn money? I had one client come to me and we were talking about her stepping up and growing her business. And actually, when we really uncovered like what was stopping her, why was she not marketing herself more? Why was she not creating higher level, higher priced offers? She shared with me that in a previous business that she'd created, she'd been really successful, and her partner had left her. Her partner had actually rejected her and felt very uncomfortable with the amount of money that she was earning. And so she was now in a new relationship with this new business potential, and she was deliberately holding herself back there because she was terrified that this new partner would leave her because she would be rejected for earning money. And again, we can all be really honest. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think your relationship with your family will change? Your friends will change? People will judge you? All of those things, we have to be really honest about what we think happens when we spend our time doing this and when we start earning good money from this. What do you believe? What is your fear? And if we have a fear, how can we rewire that to not feel so afraid?
And it's really hard. I think this money thing, for me, it has been a journey, still one I'm working on. But I came through from working in social care, so I always worked in charities. And then my entry into the birth world was through volunteering. And I grew up in a economic disadvantaged area with quite strong prejudices against people who were born with money. And working through all of that, it's taken a lot of kind of challenging my own thoughts. And I think, that challenge of people with money are bad, just as simple as that, what we see in movies, what we see just everywhere.
Yeah. Well, Elon Musk is not setting a great example, is he? Some of these billionaires, and Donald Trump, like these big names, and what they choose to do with their money, how they earn their money. Like, unfortunately, when we're listening to that, the protective part of ourselves is collecting that like a little hoarder, more evidence that having money is terrible. Earning money is a bad thing. You are going to be viewed and judged and criticized if you earn money, if you aspire to have more than you have right now. So don't do it. Stay safe, stay small, keep fiddling around with things, keep, complaining that nobody understands it, nobody wants to invest. Like, that's much safer. And again, said with lots of love and compassion, because it's totally understandable if we are in dialogue with that protective part of ourselves, why that happens. Why on earth would we want to do that and experience all of that? So yeah, we have to get really honest with it and look at, okay, can I look at other examples of people doing really good where they're earning money, where they're having lovely positive impact, really create our physical and digital worlds where we're filled with people that are earning in a way that inspires us, earning money and spending money in a way that makes us think, this is the permission slip that I want, that they're doing it in a really, positive, ethical, or just, proud way of having that money.
I think that, the two examples you gave are obviously prime examples of what people are not aspiring to and where those challenges and money come. And because so many of the rich people we see are people that many of us would question their ethics and their morals, we need to look for other role models. So we need to look for other role models, of women, of people of color who are earning money and are powerful and confident in that earning of money without the exploitation part of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, that can feel harder, can't it? Because, some of these voices are very loud. They're being given very big platforms. But that work is really, really important. So a lot of my work is we identify the belief. And then what I like, and you mentioned in my introduction, is this idea of experimenting, that we need to find the new belief and we need to go around experimenting and building new evidence for it. And that does have to be quite a conscious process, like you say, of actually, I am going to spend a bit of time clearing out my social media feed of people that make me question earning a lot of money and fill it with people that make me go, yeah, that's something really aspirational for me. And I like the way that they have earned their money and, the work that they are doing. And again, finding other ways to keep building evidence for that belief. And yeah, we do have to work at that, because we're naturally programmed to think the worst. We're naturally programmed to protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe. And unfortunately, the society we operate in is constantly telling us simultaneously to not earn money, but also to spend it on things, because capitalism, on things to help us be more, and because we're not enough right now. So we have to just really look at that and what we're operating in and question, like, what is this? What am I making this mean? That's one of my favorite questions. What have you made that mean? What have we made Elon Musk earning lots of money mean about me, about earning money, and what else could be true here instead?
And what else could be true? I think that's so important. So what else could be true? It could be true that if I had lots of money, I would still be a good person. If I had lots of money, I would still take care of family. If I had lots of money, I could actually take care of more of my family. So what else could be true? I love that.
Yeah. That gives me goosebumps even just hearing you like list that out. And I think that's really important for people to try and, verbalize or to write down and have like, what else could be true here? And what is it that I do actually believe, like I always say that the real you, the true experimenter, I call it, the inner mentor of you, the person that the real you that knows you are meant for more, you are worthy of more, you are more than enough as you are right now. What do they think? What do they believe? And trying to amplify that voice and give that lots of evidence and leverage. And I never think we're going to get rid of the protective voice. It is very strong. It's been very well cultivated for many years, if not decades. Sometimes, unfortunately, it might also be impacted by people very close to us, parents, friends, partners. We might unfortunately receive some of those messages as much as we try and create a bubble around ourselves. So we need to, be aware and be resilient to that and cultivate in ourselves that real idea of this is what I believe and what I'm building evidence for and how I'm amplifying the voice that true me and experimenter me is holding, and just quieten down. And I see it. It's a protective thought. I'm not going to build my actions this week or this month or build my business around fear and protection.
And you mentioned something earlier when we were talking about marketing that I think is relevant here as well. And it's about that we don't have to go from this jump of this protective thought that we're having that's probably somewhat negative and holding us back a little bit to I'm going to be a millionaire and I can't wait. So we don't have to go from there all the way to there. It's like little building blocks of challenging those thoughts. So instead of being I can never earn money and being rich is bad to it's okay for me to earn more than I need right now.
Yeah. And again, like checking in with our body about how that feels and whether we can get behind that. If there is that quiet but powerful voice that says, I do believe that, I do actually, I can center into that. And making sure that we're building on that rather than tuning into the kind of protective version of it. So yeah, I think that's definitely the way to go.
Feeling stuck in your birthwork business, posting nonstop, answering DMs, juggling admin, but still not getting the clients you want? It doesn't have to be this way. I've put together the Birthworkers Business Playbook, a free guide with 3 simple systems to help you get visible without spending all day online, book clients with ease, no more ghosting, streamline your admin so you can focus on what you do best. These are the exact systems I wish I had when I started, and now they're yours, totally free. Download the Birthworkers Business Playbook now and start growing your business with ease. Head to the show notes to get your link for your free copy. And is there anything else around either the money kind of mindset issues that people have or the time mindset issues that people have that you feel would be helpful here?
I think it's really interesting speaking to you and speaking to other listeners of this podcast in the birth world and parenting field, because I feel like this is talked about a lot, and you'll know from the book I mentioned that idea of everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. And I feel like it's resurfaced itself again recently, certainly in my kind of sphere. And having had a second child myself in the last year, realizing that I still stand by what I said in the book, which is we do all have 24 hours in a day, but everyone's time is different, and everyone's how they choose to spend that time and the pressures that are on themselves with that time are different. So I think it's really important that we don't fall into the trap of, well, I don't because I have children. It's not exactly the same as Beyonce with, hundreds of minders and a housekeeper and, personal trainer and personal chef or whatever it is. Like, it's not the same. Of course, it's not the same, but we are all still on this planet. We all still operate with a certain amount of hours. Of course, there's no point comparing like for someone else whose support system might be different. I live here in Ireland. We have no family support really, you know, compared with a lot of other families who are able to give their children to grandparents or aunts and uncles, hang out with cousins and things. Like, we really don't have that in ample supply. And so I can just sit and complain about that. And don't get me wrong, I do complain about that when I really feel frustrated about what time I have. But I also know when I do have time and I pay for the childcare and I commit to going all in, getting the support that I need and allowing myself that time, I need to be really intentional about what I do with that time. And if I am, the way that self-doubt shows up, procrastinating or sitting in perfectionism or passively scrolling on my phone or doing something else, rereading my own post, that's a terrible way that I end up procrastinating. Noticing that I am doing that, it is my time that I am wasting here. There is a way that I can make the most of the time that I do have available. So I think simultaneously not comparing ourselves to someone else who has a different pressures on their time, and then also noticing when you do have time that you do set clear boundaries for yourself and your business, and that you do sit in the discomfort of what is it I need to do in this time to make money, to have an impact, to help people as much as I can with this time that I have. And if there's resistance there, again, getting curious, like, why am I avoiding this? Why am I avoiding, if I've got an hour, why am I not talking about my services, creating a post, writing an email, pitching myself forward for a speaking opportunity, whatever it is, what's going on here? So yeah, that's the piece that I wanted to speak to at the moment around time, and to acknowledge, having become a mum of two myself recently, and realizing brain space and time is really, really different now, but still saying, I still really believe in my work and my business, and I damn well make sure that my time is as well spent as possible. And sometimes that's uncomfortable to look at how I'm spending it.
I agree. And I agree with both sides, or the three sides nearly of that you said. That yes, okay, literally we all have 24 hours in a day, but that people do have different levels of responsibilities. So non-choice based things they have to do, like, feed your kids, or look after elderly parents, or whatever it might be, versus if someone literally has no responsibilities outside of those things. And part of that I think can be helpful is that time is also longer, so it might take someone longer to build their business, to get to the point where they want to be, if they have more other responsibilities that they have to take care of as well. But it doesn't mean that it can't happen. It doesn't mean that you can't get there. And it doesn't mean that you don't prioritize the time that you have, exactly as you said. Because this was the conversation Lorraine and I had on the other podcast that I mentioned, was that we felt we had no time to take care of ourselves. But when we prioritized time to take care of ourselves, somehow it was there. Yes, it means I spend less time on the business and I spend more time caring for myself. But the balance and the payoff of that is in different ways.
Yeah, I think that's the really key bit. It's the payoff. I think it's very easy. Like, I am holding my hand up here. I will do all the practical things. I will write more emails. I will create more social posts. I will do all the practical things rather than take care of myself and address the mindset issues that I have. But I know when I keep doing that, I don't get the business results that I want. So actually, if you really want to trick your brain, or, learn to prioritize, doing a bit of journaling, do a bit of visualization on this, actually getting honest about what is holding me back here. What is my fear? How do I rewire my brain with this? If you want to insert in there the belief, if I spend 15 minutes a day on this, my business is going to make more money. I will have more impact, be more profitable, be more visible, be more successful, because I've done this work, because I understand myself better. And like I say, that is for people, like all different types of people, but I'm certainly kind of A-type personality, keep doing all the things, it's actually it's the comfort zone thing. And the really uncomfortable thing is to look at, why am I not doing the actual needle moving things, and get really honest about the beliefs that are there that I must unpick in order to see any kind of business success. So even if you can, blocking it in, like seeing a client, I'm seeing myself, I'm going to go and meet my inner protector, and we're going to have a conversation. It's going to be a kind one, it's going to be an understanding one. And then I'm going to learn how, like, what that part of myself is trying to protect me from, and how I'm going to keep moving forward, even though I have that voice. That's actually a really good use of your time.
Absolutely. I think that's lovely. I'd often talk about booking things in. If you find that you can't find a time for anything, put it in your calendar, and then it's just as important as anything else. So have you any other tools or things that you use or that other people can use themselves at home to help them with this kind of work?
Yeah, so I have a little freebie which I call Paralysis to Progress, which I'll give you the link to pop in the show notes afterwards, to really start uncovering some of this, because sometimes it's very nice to sit and listen and be like, yeah, there's a protective belief, but it's actually sometimes quite hard to identify and articulate what that is, because until we can actually see it in black and white, this is what I'm afraid of, it's hard then to come up with a plan of what do I need to believe instead, what's going to counterbalance that, what's going to counteract that, and how do I go about building evidence for it. So the little tool is an audio guide, if that is your preferred way of doing it, and a little worksheet that really helps you articulate what is it that what is keeping me stuck or making me avoid the thing that I actually know, the promotion or the coming up with a new offer or going to that networking event. What is it that I'm paralyzed about, I'm avoiding, and just being able to articulate that. So that's something that gets me started with clients to help them just articulate and identify that, so that they can then start experimenting with what would be more helpful to believe here instead. What do I need to be channeling instead?
That's brilliant. Thank you very much for offering that. So I will put the link in the show notes. But for people who are just listening, where can they find out more about you? Where is best for them to go?
Best place is always the website. So that's vickyshilling.com. So you can see how I work with people, access the freebie. And then I'm most active on Instagram or Threads. So come and have a chat there and direct messages. The kind of content I'm creating is very much to help with this rewiring. Here's a reframe for you. Here's how to think about it differently. Really looking at what is getting in the way of you making more sales, getting more bookings, getting more inquiries, and how can you do the inner work that actually will impact them alongside taking lots of practical actions as well.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. This has been a really great conversation. I always love having these because it reminds me of the continual work and the continual practice that we all have to do in this. So definitely, if you've never started in this practice, get the freebie and get started. But also to always remember that there's always more to uncover. So everything continuing with the work always helps.
Yeah, 100%. It never stops.
Thank you very much. And for everyone who is listening, we will chat again next week. Don't forget to download your totally free copy of the Birth Workers Business Playbook, now available for a limited time only. So check out the show notes to get your link and get your copy.